atoms, atoms with more neutrons that are named the same atom, like uranium-235 and uranium-238. The current table, first made by a Russian human named Dmitry Mendeleev, is based on the number of protons. So atom 1, hydrogen, always has 1 proton. I think humans could use the current name for the letters of each atom. In English, for example, lead could be Le instead of Pb. A black hole may really be made of matter and called a black star. A black star could be photons in a more small orbit than in a neutron star. Microwaves, X-rays, and radio are all actually photons. What is the amplitude of wave a photon makes? If a photon moves in a sine wave, the amplitude of any photon is 1/4 wavelength. Because a complete wave will form 2 halves of a circle, the circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times radius, 2 pi r. For some reason, humans never speak of amplitude of a photon. The amplitude of a photon moving in a radio wave frequency is more than the amplitude of a photon moving in a visible frequency. The more space in the wavelength, the more high the amplitude. At first I thought that the space covered by a photon in the y, or x dimension, is less in the radio and more in the gamma. After drawing 2 photons, I realized that this distance is the same. The amplitude changes, the distance moved does not change. I think this is true because of the 2 or 3 books I got from a library on radio circuits. One kind of radio antenna is like an antenna on a car, a single cylinder. As photons move in a wave, the photons in different part of the wave, in different parts of the wave, touch the metal cylinder and move electrons may be photons, to the circuit. The more size the wavelength, the more size the antenna, because wavelength is 1/4 amplitude, or 1/4 amplitude, and both increase or decrease together. Humans must consider all 3 dimensions when calculating the space covered by a photon or any piece of matter. Saying a photon moves 3 exponential 8 meters per second is not good enough. 3 exponential 8 meters per second is only the z dimension, or is only in the z dimension, not the y or x dimension also. If a photon moves in a sine wave, a photon actually moves 2 times pi times radius in one wave. In 1 second, a photon will move 2 times pi times radius, in parentheses, 1/4 times wavelength times frequency equals 1/2 times pi times the speed of a photon in the z dimension, 3 exponential 8 meters per second. This equals 4.71 exponential 8 meters every second. No matter what wavelength, a photon moves 471 exponential 8 meters every second in empty space. I think that photons were made at the start of the universe, or always here in the universe, and cannot be destroyed. I think that you can kill a human, but you cannot kill the photons that are the human. The photons that are a human will continue to be in the universe and move to other spaces. The same is true for any body of life, of any planet, of any star. Do photons have a set course? If yes, and I think that this is possible, the course is more complex than probably can be calculated, because there are more than 10 exponential 100 photons each that is influenced or moved by each other. Calculating the combined movement of even one photon would depend on all the other photons in the universe. A skin cell from an average mammal has more than 10 exponential 10 atoms. Each atom may have millions of photons. Calculating the path of 10 exponential 10 photons for every 1 exponential minus 10 second, or 1 exponential negative 10, so I mean 1 over 1 with 10 zeros of a second, would probably take more time than the photons would take to move in that time. Humans may think that photons are all the same and hydrogen atoms are all the same, and so there may be some way to calculate the move of 10 exponential 10 photons for a certain group of locations in some time. Humans use equations that can be used to describe the paths of groups of photons like planets and stars. As time continues, these calculations will probably be more accurate. For what humans need to do, go to other planets and stars, drink and eat, move planets using equations that describe groups of photons like a planet or a grain of rice, and reproduce and copy is good enough. I think that humans can change the path of matter in the universe. I am amazed that photons could group and evolve to humans that can make a star or move a planet. Photons have been ignored and kept secret. For example, some humans say the color black is when an object takes in all frequencies of photons, and white is when all frequencies of photons are reflected. The color white is only a number of different frequencies photons move at reflected off of an object. If white was all frequencies, the object would be a mirror. Some mirrors reflect most frequencies of photons. Perfect mirrors would not gain in temperature because no photons would be taken in. All matter gives off photons in the infrared frequency. What mammals feel is heat. Heat may be the velocity of matter, and infrared photons have a wavelength that moves the matter in humans. Humans should not fear guessing. Most of science is a secret now. There are always photons in the universe if you are made of or using matter. What is a good way to make oxygen and nitrogen? By using bacteria or plants? How can humans make more matter called ozone, O3, or A3, oxygen 3? Can photons be sent that reflect back to Earth from planets of Centauri and planets of other more near stars? How many photons are needed to image planets using radar? Electrons may be photons. An electric and magnetic force could be explained as the matter-to-matter force called gravity. Electric and magnetic force is also related by inverse distance squared, like gravity. The equation for electric force is F equals K times Q1 times Q2 divided by distance squared. And for gravity, F equals K times M1 times M2 divided by distance squared. The letters are explained like this. For the electric force, K is a constant. To make the final number equal some human-made measuring system like the meter, Q1 and Q2 are numbers that equal to separate charges, and distance is the distance between the two charges. For the gravity force, G is a constant. M1 and M2 are the mass of a piece of matter, of two pieces of matter, and distance is the distance between the two pieces of matter. If Q1, Q2, M1, and M2 are numbers of photons instead of the abstract idea of mass and charge, then the two forces are the same. Electric and magnetic forces can move matter apart and together, not only together the way gravity is seen to move groups of matter like planets and stars. This may be explained by the direction of the photons are rotating in, the way